favorite times of the year.
We will kick it back over to Taylor for the next segment and see how our weeks go for our home teams.
Okay, well, so Eastern Conference, pretty much the exact same situation as the Western Conference. People are jostling for position, and it's a little bit different in the fact where it's more so, say, 6th and 7th at Nets and Heat, same record. And then 7th, or 8th and 9th, you have Raptors and Hawks, same record, like you were just saying, Jade. And then you have Bulls that are they're only a game behind the Hawks and Raptors. So a little bit different of how everything is set up, but still a really tight race. Are we going to see more changes in the East, or is these spots kind of solidified, Jade?
I think there's a chance from 5th right down to play-in positions that things could change. Fourth, I think 4th and up is pretty much set.
Well, 4th and up they're already playoffs.
They're in playoffs, but like in terms of positioning, like
gotcha.
The Celtics are 2 back of the Bucks. Yeah, they might take it. I don't really see that happening. The Sixers are 3 more games back. The Cavs are 6.5 games back of the Bucks. So like, I don't see a lot of movement in there. I think it's possible, but like between 5th and 10th, I think everybody could still move. There are enough games left to win and lose that I think everybody could end up in a different position than they are. And I think a lot of teams will. Specifically, I really think the Hawks and I think the Raptors will pass the Hawks. I think the Bulls might pass the Hawks.
The Hawks might fall out.
If they pull it to, like, yeah, I don't think it's outside of the realm of the possibility for the Hawks to fall out of the playoffs.
I don't think it's out of, yeah.
So, like, just that in itself means that everything could change in the Eastern Conference.
And I almost wonder if they don't make the playoffs, if that's going to finally be enough motivation for the front office to consider some big changes.
Big changes, yeah. But they're always going to, like, and but the question for the Hawks is, are you going to fire another coach?
Right.
Or are you going to realize that coaching is not your main issue?
It's not the coaching.
They're in complete denial. They're like gaslighting themselves, saying that like Trey will still work out. Being like, it's not going to work. No, yeah, it's still going to work out.
And like, I get how when you have a player like Trey Young, you want to hold on to the hope that it'll turn around.
Because it's just that talent.
Because the talent, right? And then and I think the big draft day trade is kind of like a bit of a ghost over their decision making as well. Like, we made this huge move. We don't have Luka Doncic. We have Trey Young instead. I think that is creating a situation of, well, we got to stick with it. Like, how can we do anything but stick with this now?
Well, they both have the same record. Well, Mavs have 1 extra loss, but when it comes to Mavs and Hawks, they both have the same overall record.
But I mean, what would the Hawks record be if they were in the West?
Oh, true. But yeah, I'm curious if either one. I mean, Mavs are probably a little bit different with that one, but so Jade, you said that you could see just Atlanta slipping out of the playoffs altogether. Shay, which team could you see slide out of the playoffs and into the hunt, or just out of it completely?
I mean, oh gosh. I'm kind of hoping the Lakers.
This is East Coast girl.
I didn't know which one you were talking about. Let's be honest. Okay, let me look at West again. I mean East. I'm left-handed, so sometimes I do get my East and West like physically confused. So I blame that on why I get it confused in the NBA too. I mean the Heat. That one makes sense. I could possibly even see the Heat dropping out and the Bulls possibly making it in. Because the Bulls lately have been a little bit more relevant than I feel like they've been all season.
Well, they started hot.
That's true. No, you're right.
If they can get back to that to close out the season, because they had a bad middle of the season, but they started so good.
Well, and
That's when they had Lonzo.
It really
True.
could be like Billy Donovan is really good at that whole like, don't look at the middle of our season, but the bookends are really great.
Really
you know,
good, yes.
And like I know that because of those years at OKC where it was like, dear Lord, wait, we're in where for the conference? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I could see that possibly happening. But yeah, I mean, same with Atlanta. I wouldn't be surprised. That wouldn't. Yeah, no. Because
I just love that it's possible.
My radar. So
I love that it's possible for this to happen this season. Like,
right.
I hated the idea of the play-in tournament, but I cannot argue with the results.
Right. It's like, what else would we do for this kind of result? Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just one that came to my mind. So you have the 7th through 10th seed: Heat, Hawks, Raptors, Bulls. So which one of these teams should really think about? I mean, Jade, you brought up Heat blowing it up, but like the Hawks themselves, do they think about blowing up? The Bulls, do they think about it? I don't include your Raptors, Jade, because at least you got Scotty Barnes and you guys got other pieces.
Right. And we understand that we are in a retooling phase right now.
Yes,
like
these
we
are
are young,
teams
talented.
that were
We know that that's
established
where
or
we
falling.
are. Yeah.
And that's different. Yeah.
But I think the Bulls could be a lot better. I don't think if I was in the Bulls front office, I'd be trying to change too much. I think I would be trying to see, can we be consistent with the way that we started?
Injury issues this year too.
Also that, yeah.
Caruso was huge.
Right.
He was gone for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see Hawks the most because they've been on that radar of like, do we rebuild, retool? What do we do?
They don't have a clue what they're doing in Atlanta. Like that seems more obvious. They don't know what to do around Trey. They don't know how to make it work. They're just going to keep changing out coaches.
I mean, they were 3 years ago, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they've only dropped since then.
And but gotten more talented as a roster, like on paper.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about their roster then. And their roster, though, has roughly stayed the same since then. Well, that's the problem.
Maybe.
It's stayed the same.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
They've put everyone on notice, like, yeah, we're going to put you on the trading block. No one ever gets traded, except the 1 year they do something with Murray.
But like I'm looking at their roster right now. Like they have so many, you know how sometimes you look at a team's roster and be like, I don't know who any of those players are. Mm-hmm. And the Hawks, you know everyone: Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Clint Capella, John Collins, Bogdan Bogdanović, Sadiq Bey, DeAndre Hunter, Okongwu, AJ Griffin. Like that's 9 guys in before I get to somebody that I don't super know on that team.
Exactly. Like that's why
they're talented.
It has to be either a common denominator or bad front office / coaching. And I don't think it's the latter.
I think it's a combination. Because like for some reason the roster still isn't working. Even if Trey is the main issue, which I kind of think it is, I just don't think it's a good fit. I think Trey needs an organization that's more has more discipline than the Hawks have.
It's not willing to. Miami.
Yeah.
Miami.
Come to Miami.
Dallas. Denver.
I'd rather take a bat to your leg if you lip off too much.
I mean, even like we were just talking about Billy Donovan and stuff. Like I could even see possibly him going and having like Mo Cheeks and Billy Donovan kind of whip him into shape.
Ooh, Mo Cheeks especially. He was a guy
exactly.
that took no prisoners.
Exactly.
He is a no prisoners coach.
Like
Mo Cheeks.
And the ATL as a city has a reputation. It's earned a reputation. It's a place that I want to visit for vacation one day, you know? But like
I'm going there in 2 weeks. But
are you nice?
Yeah, that's the only reason I was like, I don't want Atlanta to completely not make the playoffs, because if they happen to be in a playoffs and they're in town when I'm going, we're going to a baseball game because my dad loves baseball, but I'm like,
Right.
but like if they're in the playoffs,
And you're there
Is
anyways.
Atlanta more of, I feel like Atlanta's more of a basketball city than a baseball city. No knock against the Braves. No knock against them. They won the world, they won the World Series a couple years ago. So
a couple years ago, yeah, like
yes. So salute to
season
you
before?
there, Braves. But when I think of Atlanta, I think of the Atlanta Falcons, their football team, and the Atlanta Hawks.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because
The Birds.
The
I
bird
feel
teams.
like people I know from like Oklahoma and places that don't have Major League Baseball teams are Braves fans. While
Oh, yeah.
Atlanta,
Mm.
people in Atlanta are Falcons and Hawks fans. So
Yep.
like it's an interesting thing because they have a fan base, but I don't know if the fan base
not
is
the
in
state.
Atlanta. Like,
It's
The
for the
fan
surrounding
base isn't
states
in
that
the
don't
state.
have a team. That's funny.
exactly. It's like everyone else that's kind of in the vicinity.
It's like with North Dakota and the Minnesota Twins.
Right,
Huge
right.
fan base because they got nothing else there except the NDSU Bison. Which shout out to the Bison, they're good, but yeah. Anywho, that's not basketball. That's baseball. And football. Oh, I had something else set up with it. Well, I mean, this will also be an interesting playoffs on the Eastern Conference side, just because we also Cavaliers making it to the playoffs for the first time without LeBron in 50,000 years. So
I believe the year was 2008.
without LeBron?
The last time they made it. The last time they made the playoffs.
Without LeBron.
Without
yeah,
LeBron.
In 2008.
Yeah. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like
That
a
a lot
long
longer
time.
than you think. I
Really?
mean, granted, yes, they did go for a little bit. Oh, yeah, whatever. But I didn't think Donovan Mitchell would blend in as well as he's had with the entire team.
Donovan Mitchell was my favorite pickup for fantasy this year because he was available 40th overall in my draft.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. And I was drafting with Sarah at the time because she's in the league too. And she's like, are you going to take Mitchell on your next turn? Because her turn had passed. And I was like, what do you mean am I going to take Mitchell? Mitchell's not available. Yeah, Mitchell's available. I'm like, what? How is he available? But I think the thing that people underestimated the most about Donovan Mitchell is that on the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell was the youngest guy on the roster. And on the Cavs, he's the oldest.
He's the oldest.
So
right.
it is a fundamental and instant flip of his production on the team. It's no longer scoring behind other people. It's no longer just scoring. He has found his voice. And it's worked out really well for the Cavs, and they're fun. They're a fun team to watch.
They're fun also playing, but also just how they are as a team, how they act around with each other. Like you can tell
they enjoy each other.
Loves each other.
Yes.
Like they even had like when they waved off when they cut Kevin Love, there was even like in the locker room a little tribute because he was like first he hated being that bench guy, but then like the past 2 seasons he just full on engulfed, just fully just dove into the role of like, I'm the bench veteran right now. I'm still going to get crucial plays and moments and stuff. But what I'm here for is you see that entire young squad.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that they can do it right. Maybe that's why Kevin Love, he shouldn't have went to the Miami Heat. Shouldn't have went. He was going for a title. They're not going anywhere for a title.
They're not. Yeah, I know. I didn't love that idea.
But, you know, Kevin Love had been in cold weather his entire career. Let's get him to Miami.
You can't really blame him. As
Let's
somebody
get him to
who
South Beach.
Lives in Canada and hates the cold weather, I always understand when people are like, I don't want to live where it's cold. I get it.
Yep. But, all right. Well, so we've hit up both the conferences now and we can only say so much because more than likely within the next 5 minutes, it'll probably change. So I think we'll just then alley-oop to it's Twitter time with Shay.
Woo! Okay, my time. All right. So there's been so much going on, and I've been using Twitter to keep up with like all the on the court, off the court drama. So
Sorry, I just got an update. A-Rod owns 40% of the Wolves.
40.
Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lore closed $290 million payment toward full ownership of the team. Wow. I just thought he was going to be a face of it, not the entire damn. Okay, sorry. That just showed up on my Bletcher report.
Bletcher. Okay.
Bletcher report. Shout out, Nasty.
This is the first one I'm going to start with. We have from Rax at 15 Onions, how the churn tables. Now, in case you didn't know, there's Westbrook, and there's Patrick Beverly hugging before a game. Are we in the Twilight Zone?
Who is that he's hugging? I can't make out the...
Oh, is it Russ? And Patrick Beverly.
Oh, I see.
Like, I think you would have told me that 3 or 4 seasons ago, I'd be like, no way.
No way.
Ever since Bev left the Rockets, so he's like bounced around so many spots that now what used to be the most hated player in the league is now one of the most beloved players in the league.
Because he's played for so many teams.
He's played for so many teams, and now they realize what else he brings to the table.
Yeah.
I'm saying I used to hate the guy, and then he played for us for a season, and then I'm like, now I see what Houston saw in him the entire time. They just got a younger, a little bit crazier version of him. We get the crazy version, but it is a controlled crazy because he knows how to, my big man or my star player's getting all crazy and stuff. I'm going to get crazier so the refs focus on me. And that's crazy seeing that.
So there's a method to his madness that unless you see him play bunch of games, you can't get the pattern. You just see him acting crazy.
How many times he saved Cat from getting a technical the year he was with us? The amount of times, because he'd just step in between the ref and then he'd get in the ref's face and then he'd get the technical. And I was like, thank you for being the meat shield, and you know your role.
And the thing is that like now that he isn't the villain of the NBA, we have Dylan Brooks. Who
He's a pushover
for so many reasons has been in the news lately, but this tweet sums up kind of how I feel about him. So from Ollie at OllieOD, anytime I hear Devin Brooks speak, I remember this.
Brooks, who flops to the deck.
I've never seen that bad in college.
I hate
some of the worst.
I hate talking about Dylan Brooks because he's Canadian.
I will.
And like most of the other Canadian guys are like, yeah, you're Canadian, you're playing basketball. I love talking about you. I love keeping up with you. I would prefer to forget that Dylan Brooks is from my country sometimes.
So I saw that I saw some posts online where he was like talking smack, obviously, to Draymond Green, because that's all people do with Draymond.
Right.
Well, then they pull out a tweet from like 2016 or something like that, where he said, I want to be Draymond Green or something like that. And I'm like, now you're talking trash to a guy that you were like, I want to be him when I grow up.
I mean, in fairness, it wouldn't surprise me that once you got to know Draymond Green, you might change your mind.
Maybe. That's true, too.
Like, I really like Draymond Green, but I know he rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. But I think this was Dylan Brooks just wants to be when a player forces themselves to be a villain, that's when you're not a villain for me.
Like, it has to be organic.
Beverly,
Patrick Beverly, Goran Dragic, Grayson Allen. Like, there are lots of names that just naturally fit the villain.
Well, and then Grayson Allen has had that since
college, yes.
He's had that. He's already, and then also, let alone him playing dirty, but also he went to Duke. He was an all 4 years player at Duke, that injured player. And now Dylan Brooks is now just talking a bunch of trash and he's wearing crazy clothes. That's not a villain. That's an annoying little brother. And that's what he is. He's an annoying little brother. Prove me wrong later on. I mean, by all means, like, you've got a long career ahead of you. He's not a terrible player.
No, he's not.
Just a tool right now.
He's a tool. Yeah, we make those here in Canada too.
Wow. No, I'm just kidding. Finally, you admit it. So yeah, there was
Something we've been trying to hint at the entire time, but no.
There was a whole situation, including like Dylan Brooks, and I saw the video, and it was like Dylan Brooks was trying to give his jersey to Kyrie post game, and then it looked like Kyrie refused it. Kyrie later said that he was just like very motivated or like still in his game like mentality, and he didn't really realize. And watching the video makes it look really bad, but he was like, "I'll take it next time. I don't really care." But of course, Charles Barkley had something to say about it.
Of course.
So from NBA Central, Charles Barkley on Kyrie not taking Dylan Brooks jersey post game. I don't blame Kyrie at all. The F he gonna do with a Dylan Brooks jersey? Hanging on his wall? You're gonna be scaring the hose with that one. And that is what I expected Chuck to say about that.
I hate Charles Barkley sometimes.
I was like, okay.
Like the use of the word hose is massively problematic for me.
Massively. Massively. I was like, did he say this on live television?
Like,
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I'd say about 2/3 of that comment I love.
Right.
2/3 of it.
So close.
And if he could have worded so many other stuff than using what he used with the hose.
Like,
right.
He could have just said scaring women.
Okay, but here's the thing though. In the proper usage of the word hoe, which there is a proper usage,
right?
No hoes are going to be scared away from any dude with money.
True.
Even if they have a Dylan Brooks, like if you're actually a hoe, you're not getting scared away from a guy with money.
That's how scary he is.
For any
reason. That's how bad he is. Anyways, let's be real. Kyrie is not going to be having people like that over.
He also has like a consistent girlfriend. Like I don't know how their relationship is set up, but he has like a baby mama who lives with him, who is his like consistent girlfriend. Like whatever. I thought there was a lot of stuff going on in that comment. And I'm just like, Chuck, this is not 1991. Like you cannot
really,
like come on, dude. And yeah, like even if he had just stopped at hang it on his wall, great comment. Great.
Yeah. Like I said, that first 2/3 is brilliant. It's like classic Chuck. And then next thing you know, it's like,
and then you get to a critical problem.
And it's like, oh, now you went from lovable 2000s Chuck to early 90s I'm no role model Chuck.
Yes.
You bounced back real quick for a second there.
A little bit of regression happening.
I know I keep going, but y'all, there was a lot this week.
No, bring it. We've been off for 2 weeks.
It was so much. Okay, so I don't know if you guys heard, but Bradley Beal is currently being investigated for battery. Now, sounds really bad when you first say it. But when I read the whole thing, I was like, okay.
Someone's trying to get some money.
I was like
walking off the court and a fan, it was in Orlando. I don't even know if it was an Orlando fan or whatever, but yelled at him and basically said, you cost me like $1,200. Yeah. And Bradley Beal was like, okay, I don't care. I don't play the game for your bets, and knocked the fan's hat off.
Yeah.
And so this made me laugh. So that's what he's being investigated
by police for that shit.
For a hat off. Like, I don't even think his hand was on the man. It was his hat. Whatever.
No,
but
exactly. It's a guy that's trying to look for money.
Exactly. So from Carlton Banks Burner, if Bradley Beal knocked my hat off, this lady falling to the ground.
She must have been taking flopping lessons from Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Like when I heard that, because I was just like, oh, battery. And then I saw it with fans, and then I heard it involved betting. And I was like, you know what? I hope he dropped the guy.
Right.
Well, and like just like the things that become a big deal in the NBA just kind of always remind me of how small a world the NBA universe actually is. Because like in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter at all.
Right.
And how is this a good use of police resources?
Right.
over a hat being knocked off. Like,
welcome to Florida, baby.
really? Like, how?
The guy's
Will
lawyer is
Smith,
gonna be like a gator with like a real weird mustache with
Will
it. Like,
Smith
say my
slapped
client
Chris
here.
Rock in front of the whole world, and police were not involved.
Right.
Like
it shows, we've talked about it before on this show many times, about this just shows the like privilege that players think that, or players, that fans think they have towards
Yeah.
players.
they're like there's such a big segment of fans whose fundamental stance towards players is dehumanizing, like fundamentally dehumanizing. Like, you are only there for my entertainment. You need to play all the games because I say so.
Right.
Like, things should happen this way or that way. And it's like these are people. These are human people. And they have different problems and challenges than us, but they have problems and challenges that go along with their life and their work, just like everybody else does.
I was gonna say. Oh well.
Well, I have one more, and it's specifically for TJ. So
I remember.
I'll let you go first. Yeah.
They should have. I feel like if you're gonna get courtside seats or something like that, you should sign like a waiver where, like, if you do this, this, or this, you're kicked out automatically.
Right.
Like, you should not be getting. If you're right in a player's face when they're passing the ball in or something like there's got to be some waiver, some forms that
I don't think fans should be that close to the court.
Yeah.
Like hockey, football, baseball, soccer, cricket, like you can just go down the list of professional sports. No other professional athletes are forced to deal with fans at that proximity than basketball players. No other sport can you be injured falling into fans or cameramen in the course of doing your job.
Right.
Because they're that close to everything. Like, I think it's ridiculous that's how. I know it's never going to change, but like, there should not be camera people on the baseline under the net where players are constantly.
Where Dylan Brooks can push people.
Where people can be pushed, where players are constantly having to use up the rest of their momentum is under the basket, and there's no place for them to go unless they are able to get into those two little aisleways. Like, it blows my mind that fans are allowed to be that close to basketball players when no other sport is like that. And the other sports are not like that for a reason.
Right.
Well,
fans don't need to be that
and
close.
Soccer, the stadiums are massive, so you can't really do it. The fields itself are massive. So it's hard to do something like that with that. So, and the same with baseball is not the same kind of build of a field.
True.
Right, but it's a fundamental thing that only basketball players have to deal with.
Yes.
And like Shay said, there's an entitlement that comes with being that close, having that kind of access.
Yeah, and it's like, as though the other sports have gotten bigger, they've done something in order to separate the masses from the players. And basketball is kind of the only one that, because it's inside, I mean, hockey's inside too, but like, they just have kept it similar.
And I mean, it doesn't need to be that big of a change, like an extra 2 feet all the way around. The cameras are still going to get the shots. You're still courtside at, like, an extra 2 feet is still a courtside experience. It's not a big enough difference to ruin the experience, but it creates some separation from the players so they can do their job without being interrupted and yelled at and all of that stuff.
But
all right, last one for TJ. From Jake Graffs, attention, if you or somebody you know said that the Timberwolves would be good, and four players together before making definitive conclusions on their performance or trades, you may be entitled to financial compensation.
That's amazing.
I saw this and wanted to send it to you, but I was like, no, I'm going to read this on air.
The way you read it, too,
is perfect.
Is that there is an injury hotline, like lawyer hotline, where I can guarantee you they are spoofing off of this.
I'm right.
And that's why I burst out laughing, because it was just like, oh, this is the injury at law hotline. Like, this is there had been two things. There's this guy in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Chris Lindahl. He's like this huge real estate agent, I guess. And he's got billboards everywhere across the city with his hands like straight out in the air.
Oh,
You
God.
see Chris Lindahl commercials, and then you see the 1-800 attorney law, whatever, and it's set up the exact same way. So I'm really curious if they're doing this in the same way. But
well, I mean, he's got the little Timberwolves guy as his profile pic.
oh man,
So maybe he's local.
Jake's graphs. Maybe are you from the Twin Cities area? Oh, well, you are followed. Then yeah, this is definitely someone from Minnesota. Canis Hoopus is one of the main Timberwolves pages.
Oh.
That's funny.
I'm surprised they didn't use Ant's dog, Ant Jr. Ant's got like this like pit bull dog that's absolutely adorable. Pretty sure it has its own Instagram page.
Oh,
I love that.
No,
all right.
yeah.
Well, that's my tweets. I caught up on all that drama via the Twitter. So, well, and there was more drama with Trey. Yeah, like, come on. I could have had
Who
so much.
Atlanta would have been the hot Atlanta. It would have been like the hot spot for drama this year, not Brooklyn, not LA.
Right.
It's Atlanta.
Atlanta. Trey Young threw a basketball at a ref. Like,
yes, he did.
Because reffing issues got to go. That's why he threw the ball at him. It's because those reffing issues got to go.
that was good. That was good.
That was good.
All right. Well, so talking about Trey Young and just him throwing the ball. So Freddie VanVleet, last week, whatever, we all saw, said what every single player has been wanting to say forever. And he said, I'm not worried about getting fined and stuff.
Yep,
He complained about the refs and stuff.
F it, give me the fine. I'm gonna say what
Yeah,
I
I'm
need
gonna
to
say
say.
But right after he said it, so other players are coming out of the grass trying to say their case too. Two of the people that started complaining were Trey Young and Luka. Trey Young, the 2 games before, had shot 12 free throws. The game before, he shot 14. And the game that day, he said the comment, he had shot 16. And then Luka is one of the league leaders for free throws too.
I thought you were going to say for complaining to the refs.
Oh, well, that too, for complaining to the refs. Are the wrong players complaining about the refs?
Maybe it's so hard to say because on the one hand, I think if you are not a high caliber player, you already don't get the whistle. You already do not have the ear of the refs if you are not a top, whatever number you want to put player in the
Unless
NBA.
you're Austin Reeves.
Unless you're, yeah, right, except for a few outliers. But like on the other hand, it is hard. There is an element of, maybe crying wolf a little too much with the players who are complaining. Fred, for example, Fred is usually pretty diplomatic when he wants to complain about the refs. In fact, my handle auxiliary things comes from Fred being diplomatic when he really wanted to complain about the refs, but he called it auxiliary things that we had to deal with in the game to avoid the fine. So
he's got 8 technicals this year.
So he
not a lot.
And like the fact that he called out a specific ref by name was.
And then they get in trouble for it.
Well, did they though? I don't think that report ended up actually being true.
About them getting demoted?
Yeah, he didn't actually get demoted. It was just it looked like it did because the way the schedules were set up, because they take times being the head, the crew leader, and just a referee. That schedule's made in advance. So it just happened to turn out that the next bunch of games that Ben Taylor officiated after Fred, he was not the crew chief. So it looked like he was demoted, but he wasn't really. And the fact that the NBA never addressed it, like the NBA is not going to demote a ref over something like that and not put out a statement. There's just no way that happens that way. But that said, like you said, it started this wave of players, Marcus Smart saying like what Freddie said, and like Luka Trey. The officiating's bad. It's been bad for years. We know this. This is a known fact. Now, I think the NBA is getting to the point where they have an option. They can fix it instead of, creating a mid-season tournament that nobody cares about, including the players. How about you fix the officiating? How about you fix the All-Star game? Let's worry about the things that are always going to be part of the game that need work. And I don't even think that most of the officials are bad. I don't think most of the officials are trying to fix games. I wouldn't go as far to say that any of them are doing that. The system is the same as it was in the 80s. The game is not the same as it was in the 80s. So how do you think that an officiating system from an era of basketball that was slower,
40 years ago,
that was more defensive and less offensive, less scoring, harder calls, right? Like James Harden's double step back shooter. You have to be paying attention to see if he travels because he has to do it perfectly to not travel when he does that.
But when he does get it perfect, I hate to say it, but it is beautiful.
It's beautiful. But in terms of the reffing, that's more attention you now have to pay to James Harden to make sure that he hasn't traveled while the other
you're going to see some
the other 9 guys on the floor are still playing basketball. But you've got a set of eyes that has to just focus on that. The dribble handoffs. Like, the game has evolved and the officiating hasn't. That, I think, is the fundamental problem. It's not that the officials are corrupt or they're trying to blah, blah, blah. Although we know that stuff does go on too. Overall, I think it's just a matter of the NBA hasn't addressed a system that no longer works for the game as it is.
Shay, so there's been a lot more altercations among players this season, a lot of face-to-face, like nothing real fights, but a lot more just heated situations.
Yeah.
Is this coming from the inconsistency from the reffing and making the emotions of players a little bit hotter, or is this just players just got to get over themselves a little bit?
I mean, I think players do need to respect like some of the rules, but also they know the consequences. So for example, like Freddie speaking out against it, it's not like he doesn't know what the consequences are going to be, because like the other issue though is that there is a power hierarchy here. Players should be able to speak out against these fundamental issues, as Jade's pointing out. And the fact that more than one player is picking up on it, and fans are picking up on it, and coaches are picking up on it, this should not necessarily lead to consequences, just because like you should be able to speak out about it. Yeah. I think there's something like kind of weird there, and it's a little archaic.
It's very plantation.
Yes. Yeah. Like you can't speak out against the people. Like I think in a game, sure, why not? Like you shouldn't be able to like make money signs like Luka did. Like I can see why that was a technical. Fine, whatever. During a game, because that's during working hours.
Yes.
But you speaking out against like the officials, I don't think should be an issue like when it's not in the heat of the moment, because something does need to change. So it's like it's
also the thing that's been different, I think, this year as well, besides there being more confrontation between players, is that just in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there have been at least 2 instances where a questionable call changed the outcome of a game.
Right.
Like that can't happen. The refs cannot be deciding games like that. People didn't pay $300 for their tickets so that Scotty Barnes could get a technical foul that changes it from a 1-possession game to a 2-possession game. It happened to the Mavs, I think, this week too. Yeah, because they're sending a formal complaint to the NBA. Like, yes, the refs are human. They're not going to get everything right all the time. But the games can't come down to calls made by refs that are not on the up and up. Like just clearly, obviously good calls. Games can't come down to that.
You can't have the refs on the opposite side of the court calling the calls.
Also that's
what happened to the Wolves last night and to the Kings. Just overall, there was refs from opposite sides of the court calling stuff. And There
Like
was
how?
about 3 different times where the refs would have to all group together, and one of them would be like, "What did you see?" I was literally right next to them. What did you see that I didn't?
Yeah.
One of the times they're just like, no, just check the ball. Nothing happened. The other 2, yeah, they called a foul, and they're just like, what are you talking about? Like, but no, it's, and then just how simple they have been with technicals this year.
They throw out technicals like it's candy, and they are in a parade.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm just looking at all the different players that have it, and then you have some that are kind of usual, I'm not surprised with, but then you have players like we were saying. I don't know if we mentioned this before, but DeMar DeRozan, he's got 12.
Yeah. I don't know how that's possible. Like, and I watched DeMar DeRozan play basketball for a long time for a team that never got the friendly end of the whistle, because the Raptors never get the friendly end of the whistle.
He's got more technicals than Marcus Smart and Patrick Beverly.
I don't understand how that can be possible.
Like, no, I'm looking at other players on this list, like PJ Tucker too, Chris Paul.
PJ Tucker, like Chris Paul.
He's got only 6.
Like, the other thing I've noticed a lot too is, crap, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the free throw disparity.
Yes.
There have been major free throw disparities in multiple games.
Most involving the Lakers.
Lots involving the Lakers, because we know LeBron gets that all-star whistle.
But hasn't been there, though.
But he's not even playing. Like,
it was against the Suns. Monty Williams pointed out, yeah, we shot 20 free throws. That's a lot.